things last.
A new Rasmussen Report poll found that 7% of surveyed American adults had a major side effect from the COVID vaccine. That would equate to over 12 million adults in the United States. Additionally, at least 71 million adults experienced at least a minor side effect. Looks like Americans overall still aren't entirely sold on this experimental vaccine. Rasmussen Report surveyed 1,000 adults. 32% said they were not vaccinated. It found that 56% of American adults believe COVID-19 vaccines are effective at preventing infection with the virus, including 26% who say the vaccines are very effective. 38% don't think the vaccines are effective, including 19% who believe they're not at all effective. So let's bring in Rasmussen Report's head pollster Mark Mitchell to break all of this down for us. Good to see you again, Mark. This was an interesting survey to do. I hadn't really thought about you guys looking into this, but this is a great way to sort of also kind of verify some of the data we've seen out there, right?
That's exactly what we did. Now, we've pulled a lot on COVID, and it's mostly been to check how many people are getting vaccinated, what do they think about it, Fauci favorability, but we hadn't really asked the side effect question this way. And what I learned from this is when I say to people, we poll on topics that other people won't, it's really correct. So I did a YouTube video breaking all this down, and it got in front of Steve Kirsch, whom, as your viewers might know, has been one of the leaders against vaccine misinformation. And he called me out because Steve Kirsch actually has pulled on it before, but he said it was like pulling teeth trying to get mainstream pollsters to cover this. They just wouldn't touch the topic, and I just find that crazy. With it, it's a vaccine that, you know, hundreds of millions of people have taken. It affects so many people, and yet the pollsters won't really dig into it here. So the big news is 12 million American adults say they have a major side effect. So we polled people, we asked them if they had the vaccine, and then we asked them, have you had a major or a minor side effect? And 7% of vaccinated people say they have a major side effect, and you just do the math, 12 million people. Now, we didn't specify in the question what a major side effect was. It was up to the respondents. But in my YouTube video, I asked people to opine in the comments on what they thought a major side effect was, and it's exactly all of the horrifying things you'd expect: blood clots in their legs and lungs, heart attacks, Bell's palsy, even deafness. So people are really being harmed by this, and our polling independently confirmed pretty much the same exact rate that Steve Kirsch saw in his polling. So it's true, it's out there, and people are still trying to cover it up. I think that's a major story. And there's an additional 35% of vaccinated individuals that said they had a minor side effect. You add it up, that's 41%. 72 million Americans are dealing with a side effect from this vaccine. So Steve Kirsch asked the big question, why isn't this pulled? It's unsafe. And they're still pushing it on people. They're pushing it on kids. Now, another note I thought was really interesting is if you look at the demographics, as you know, often there's a lot of variation in some of these demographic subgroups, and especially in party. And it was not the case. So Democrats and Republicans reported almost the same exact level of side effect. So it's not politicized. Now, what is politicized is people's beliefs over whether the vaccines are effective or not. And that's just crazy different. So, you know, the other question we asked, are the vaccines effective at preventing infection with the virus? 56 people say at least somewhat effective. That's the lowest we've seen in the polling, and only 26% say very effective. But if you look at the party numbers, Republicans, 39% say it's at least somewhat effective. Democrats, 80%. That's just a huge spread. So it really does break down to what political party you're in dictates how effective you think the vaccine. Now, when we ask them how concerned are you about side effects, there's they're different, right? The Democrats are way less concerned than Republicans about side effects. It's harming people. 12 million people, major side effects. And of course, one of the things about polling is there's always a little bit of selection bias. In this case, if somebody died from the vaccine, we couldn't poll them, right? So there's also that aspect. So these numbers.
Well, there's that.
Right.
Yeah.
So they potentially understate.
And also it can be understated because I recognize even people around me who've taken the vaccine and then had, like, I don't know, seizures afterward, or blood clots, or, any number of things that I've seen personally around the people around me. They don't admit that it's the side effect of the vaccine. So actually that number would be much higher. It's just that people aren't reporting it as such. But this was such an important poll to do. I'm with Steve Kirsch, and we've had him on our show. Our audience knows him well. I'm so glad you did it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.